Hello everyone and welcome to this special edition of the Cheat Meal presented by Deep Fried Draft. My name is Brian Bosarge. First round is in the books. It was about as chaotic and weird as I believe we all thought it was going to be. Took us a little while to get a trade. Didn't get a trade till the 10th pick of the draft. We're going to break it all down quickly, pick by pick. And we'll kind of sum it up total at the end here. Let's start at the top. The worst kept secret in the NFL draft was that the Arizona Cardinals were going to select Kyler Murray with the number one pick. It became reality tonight. I've gone on at great lengths on radio, on podcast, on videos, everything, how dumb I think it is. I think Josh Rosen is a stud quarterback. Got dealt a crap hand last year with Arizona, and now he's been dealt a crappier hand by Arizona. Hopefully he gets traded somewhere that will actually give him a chance to succeed. With that being said, Kyler Murray is probably step by step a better fit at quarterback for Rosen in a Cliff Kingsbury offensive system. That doesn't mean it's going to be a successful offensive system, but stylistically he is probably a better fit. And I come off the way I talk like Kyler Murray is just a completely terrible quarterback. He is not. Kyler Murray's good. But I just think Josh Rosen is better. I think Josh Rosen is going to be a star NFL quarterback. I think he would have been my number one quarterback prospect in this draft. But regardless, Kyler Murray, number one to Arizona. The return that Arizona can get for Josh Rosen will be interesting to say the least. Number two pick was another no-brainer. I think everybody knew that Nick Bosa would be the number two pick in the draft to the 49ers. Talk that they're trying to trade 2017 number three overall pick Solomon Thomas, who they have criminally played out of position these last couple of seasons. So hopefully he'll get a shot to actually play where he needs to play. Quinnen Williams, the third pick to the Jets. Jets attempted to took some calls, but I guess just did not get overwhelmed. So they stay and get my number one overall player. Quinnen Williams, a stud. Interior defensive line rusher, just dominated nearly every game he played this season. The Raiders, what are y'all doing? This is just a complete shit show out there. Last week the report comes out they kick all the scouts out saying we don't want y'all in the draft room. And this year they and now you come up with your first pick, Clelin Ferrell, edge rusher from Clemson, was my number 16 overall player. Listen, Clelin Ferrell's a good edge rusher, don't get me wrong, but the value just was not there, with especially with other guys that they could have taken here at the edge. You could have traded down, acquired some other picks, and they don't. Instead, they stay there, get Clelin Ferrell. Just, I don't know. I don't like the value there. I like the player. I don't like the value. But this was the first of LOL Raiders tonight. Fifth pick was another one that I think everybody saw coming 100 miles away. Tampa Bay, Devin White, linebacker, LSU. They lose another LSU linebacker, Quan Alexander, free agency, replacing with Devin White. Done. Tremendous athlete at position. Devin White's going to be a star in the NFL. The Giants. This was another awful, predictable pick. I mean, I mocked it in my final mock draft. 6th overall pick, Daniel Jones, quarterback, Duke. Sorry, Giants fans. You passed up on Sam Darnold last year. You passed up on Josh Rosen last year. You passed up on a chance to trade for Josh Rosen now. And you select the 82nd best player on my board. And if you just rank the 8 quarterbacks at the Senior Bowl, I probably would have had Daniel Jones 4th or 5th of players' performances that particular week. But Jones was my number 5 quarterback in this draft, behind Tyree Jackson of Buffalo, who had 4, and the other 3 guys who were considered first-round picks. We'll get to the one who didn't go a little bit later. But this is just horrible. Horrible pick here by the Giants. They made another horrible pick later. We'll get to that when we get to it. Jacksonville, just giddily trots up to the podium here. Best player available, edge rusher from Kentucky, Josh Allen. Probably wasn't a big need for the Jaguars, but hey, you just take the value here. That tends to be what they've done in the past, is just go with BPA here. So they're going to go Josh Allen. Detroit, another team that I thought might have traded out, probably attempted to, probably didn't get the return that they expected. So Detroit goes with TJ Hawkinson, tight end from Iowa. One of the best tight end prospects we've seen come along in a long time. He's a tremendous blocker, tremendous route runner, great hands, good athlete. He's an awesome player, and Detroit fans are going to love TJ Hawkinson. Buffalo stood pat, sat there, didn't trade up, didn't give up assets, and at number 9, they get Ed Oliver, the defensive lineman from Houston. The number 2 overall player goes 9th to Buffalo. Buffalo does it right here. One of the better nights of any team in the first round, just by sitting there and getting Ed Oliver. Good job, Buffalo. Quentin Williams was my number 1 overall rated player. Ed Oliver was 1B. I mean, they were close. Final grades were close for me. Pittsburgh snipes the Bengals here. Bengals have been rumored to want one of the linebackers for months now. And Pittsburgh, needing a linebacker desperately, trades up 10 spots here with Denver. They give up pick 20. Their second round pick this year, pick 52, and a 2020 third round pick to come all the way up 10 spots to draft Devin Bush, the linebacker from Michigan. Great pick for Pittsburgh, but they gave up a lot to make that happen. The Bengals, to their credit, played this well. The board fell to them well. Other than the linebackers, their other top need was definitely offensive tackle. So they take the number 1 tackle on my board, Jonah Williams from Alabama. Williams is probably eventually going to be the starting left tackle for Cordy Glenn. Is at worst starting right tackle day 1. This makes re-signing Bobby Hart to a 3-year, $21 million deal even that much stupider. But at least they realize, hey, we can't start Bobby Hart again. Hopefully they realize that anyway. So Jonah Williams, good pick there by the Bengals. Green Bay, pick 12. I was a little surprised with the pick of Rashawn Gary. Was not a big need after they spent big money in free agency on edge rushers Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith. They also have Mike Daniels. And then they draft Rashawn Gary here. Gary's a tremendous athlete. And it'll be a solid rotational hand from day 1. But I felt Green Bay could have went in other areas here. Didn't necessarily like that pick. Miami, Christian Wilkins, defensive lineman, one of the cleanest players in the draft, has pass rush ability, and they get in front of Atlanta, who probably had Christian Wilkins in their sights there. So Atlanta, a little rich for my blood here, but they go with an interior offense. They go with the first interior offensive lineman selected, and take Boston College guard Chris Lindstrom. Like I said, the value was about probably 10 spots higher than what it needed to be. But with that being said, I can't really argue too much with drafting a player that's going to be a 10-year plug and play starter on the interior offensive line in Lindstrom. Scrappy guy, got in a fight in practice. We got in a fight with Dalton Reisner in senior bowl practice. He don't take no shit. So that's a good guy there, Chris Lindstrom. Like I said, value probably about 10 spots too high. Well, let's get to pick 15 in Washington. Washington have been rumored to trade up with multiple teams to draft Dwayne Haskins. Haskins was the quarterback linked to them most. And they stand pat at 15, and they get Haskins anyway. Great job by the Redskins front office. I don't get to say that often, but this was a great job by the Redskins front office here, getting their quarterback of the future, maybe the quarterback of right now, in Dwayne Haskins. So good on them. Carolina had two needs coming into this draft. They needed an offensive tackle. They needed an edge rusher. Now, the tackles outside of Jonah Williams were all on the board here. So, but they go best player available, and they get Brian Burns, the edge rusher from Florida State. Elite speed for the position, great bend, great finisher. He's an upgrade to their pass rush. So good pick there by Carolina. The Giants come back at pick 17 and screw up again. Dexter Lawrence is a good player. Not taking that away from him. Dexter Lawrence is a 2-down run plug and nose tackle. That ain't a mid first round pick. That's a second round pick, and you took that at 17 overall. Just bad value there by the Giants. 18th pick, Garrett Bradbury, center from NC State, goes to the Vikings. Immediate need for them. Can play guard, can play center. One of the best athletes at that position. He super great reach blocker getting to the second level. Bradbury is a tremendous player. Tennessee Titans pick 19. They take the redshirt pick here with Jeffrey Simmons, defensive lineman from Mississippi State. Simmons tore his ACL in off-season workouts, trying to get ready for the combine. He also had an incident in high school where he was caught on video beating a woman. So red flags abound for Simmons, but pure football talent-wise, Jeffrey Simmons was probably top 8 at worst. Broncos move back 10 spots and get tremendous value here with super athlete tight end Noah Fant. You need to get Joe Flacco. If he is going to be your guy, you need to get him some help. And you picked up some ammunition in the second round. I have to think that with Drew Lock still sitting on the board, the Broncos might package a couple of those second round picks, maybe, or package at least one of them to move up there in the top half of the top part of that second round, and maybe look at Drew Lock as a guy that was mocked by many people to them with the 10th overall pick. Green Bay trades up with Seattle from pick 30. They gave up 2 fourth-round picks to go from 30 to 21 to Seattle. Seattle backs out of here because they only had 4 picks overall coming in. 5 picks overall coming into tonight. So they needed to pick up more picks. They came in with 4. A few days ago, they had 4 picks in the draft, and now they have 9 after their multiple trades they made tonight. But Green Bay, for some reason, felt it necessary to trade up 9 spots to draft Darnell Savage, an athletic safety from Maryland. Now, I'll admit I am not the best at judging talent at the safety position. And I was I was a lot late to the game on Savage. At the Senior Bowl, I'm not going to say he was bad, but I don't think he was great either. And that was really one of my main exposures to Savage. So I had him number 98 on my board. This is one that could work out for Green Bay, and I could be wrong about this big time in the future. You know, it could come back on me, and if it does, fine, I'll take it. But I'm going to half judge this as we're going to call it a reach, at least by a round. 22 Philadelphia with the Texans picking at 23. The Eagles did not think Andre Dillard would still be on the board, so they packaged a 4th and a 6th round pick to Baltimore to come up 3 spots. They draft the athletic tackle prospect as your future starting left tackle to replace Jason Peters, who's getting on up there. Good move by the Eagles there. Houston reaches for a boomer bust type player. Titus Howard, offensive tackle from Alabama State, was a quarterback in high school, converts to tight end at Alabama State before putting on weight and becoming a tackle. He's a good athlete. He's got a high ceiling, but he's got a low floor. So definitely full potential pick here for the Texans with Titus Howard. But he had one poor rep at the Senior Bowl. The rest of the time, he was dominant down there. And he was one of the few that, outside of that one rep in question, handled Montez Sweat in the one-on-ones. Not many people got the best of him, but Titus Howard did on multiple occasions. Another predictable pick here was the Raiders and Josh Jacobs, the only running back selected in the first round. Jacobs, great fit for Gruden's offense, but poor value in my opinion, because I just did not think a running back, the value was there for running back in round 1 this year. Baltimore moves back 3 picks and drafts a guy they probably would have taken at 22 anyway, and that's Marquise Hollywood Brown, the wide receiver from Oklahoma. Was the first wide receiver selected. Has a Liz Frank injury, which is why he was not able to work out at all this offseason. But Brown is fast, and it's something that Baltimore sorely needed. Washington, the Colts there probably didn't have anybody they liked, so they back out of here. They get the Redskins' second-round pick 46, and a 2020 second-round pick. Washington comes up and drafts Montez Sweat. Sweat was my... Hang on a second. Sweat was my number 9 overall rated player. The Redskins get him here at 26. The Redskins killed this draft. It's not something that like I said, I often get to say about the Redskins front office, but they killed it tonight. Standing pat and getting Haskins and trading back up to get Montez Sweat after he fell into the back half of the first round. Just great job by Washington tonight. So we'll see. Couple that with the Giants completely shitting the bed, and this was a good night for Washington fans. Oakland with their 3rd pick in the first round. They take Jonathan Abrams, safety from Mississippi State. You have to think that they probably would have taken Montez Sweat had he still been on the board at 27. But Abram is an old school safety. He's a sideline defender, heat-seeking missile. He'll fit in well with their defense, but the value wasn't there for me, as I had Abram as a mid-second round pick. So a little reach there, but Abram, I had seen him mocked into the first round, so it's not surprising, but just kind of there. He's the 3rd Mississippi State player drafted in the first round. Chargers go with Jerry Tillery. Notre Dame injury had a shoulder injury, but it seems to be okay. He'll be a good rotational 34 in for them, 5 tech. He'll do a good job for the Chargers. Value's okay there. I'd seen him. I had actually mocked him to the Colts here in the first round, but Tillery is I had him as an early second round value. So, like I said, 25 to 45. I think a lot of the grades were very similar here. So no deal there. The Seahawks ended up with back-to-back picks here, 29 and 30. The 29th pick, the pick they acquired for Frank Clark from the Chiefs. And they basically replaced Frank Clark with L.J. Collier, defensive tackle from TCU. I had Collier as my 95th rated player. This is a huge reach. Huge. This is not unlike their big reach last year in the first round with Rashad Penny. That shocked a lot of people. This one isn't quite as shocking, but it's still a big-time reach here for the Seahawks. The Giants traded back up here. The Seahawks, I said, had back-to-back picks, pick 30 here that they got from Green Bay earlier by way of New Orleans. Seattle gets the 37th pick, which is the Giants' second-round pick, a 4th-round pick, and a 5th-round pick. And the Giants draft the only corner that was picked in the first round, DeAndre Baker from Georgia. Baker's sub 6 foot, tested poorly at the combine, interviewed poorly at the combine, interviewed poorly pretty much everywhere, but he has great tape. I'll give him that. The man has some damn fine tape. But he bombed this offseason. But it doesn't end up costing him because he's still a first-round pick. But hopefully this one may work out for the Giants. Like I said, because Baker is a good player. But not a good offseason for Baker. Probably could have gone higher, actually, if he hadn't completely bombed the draft process. Atlanta trades back up into the first round. The Rams bail out here. They get a second and a third round pick from the Falcons. The Falcons come up and get solidify their offensive line. Their second, they drafted Chris Lindstrom earlier. Now they take right tackle or potential left tackle, probably more of a right tackle. Caleb McGarry, nasty blocker. Good solid pass blocker, great run blocker. McGarry had a great Senior Bowl week. So the Falcons beefed up that O-line. I like it. New England, N'Keal Harry, wide receiver, Arizona State, finally gives them some, well, they signed to Demaryius Thomas, but it gives them some size and youth at the wide receiver position, something that they haven't had outside of the degenerate Josh Gordon. But he's a good, not great athlete. N'Keal Harry's tremendous on 50-50 balls. He'll be a solid weapon for Tom Brady. So that's it. First round in the books. Just do a quick recap here. One cornerback taken. That was DeAndre Baker. Jawan Taylor, one of the top offensive tackle prospects and one of my higher rated players left on the board. Apparently has some medicals. Knee issue has caused him to fall out of the first round. A little mildly surprised, DK Metcalf fell out of the first round after his tremendous combine agility test notwithstanding. Little surprised Drew Lock didn't go in the first round, although I actually didn't have him mocked into the first round, so I'm not that surprised. But after all the talk and everything, I thought he would go. I don't look for him to be on the board very long. Tomorrow night, 10 Senior Bowl players. 10. I'm going to put an asterisk by the 10 because Jonathan Abram basically just weighed in. He didn't practice or play because he got flagged for a medical issue. But 10 Senior Bowl players drafted in the first round, their highest total since 2012, per Craig Stevenson of AL.com. I believe that's the highest since 2012 when they had 12. Spoke earlier, I thought the Redskins were best in show tonight. Top 10 best players available coming into the second round tomorrow. Greedy Williams, corner from LSU, and Byron Murphy, corner from Washington. Greedy Williams, I guess people not as impressed with his tape as I was. He falls. Byron Murphy was athleticism called into question after his poor combine. Jawan Taylor, we talked about his knee. Deebo Samuel, just positional value, I guess. Dalton Reisner was a borderline first-round pick, but position versatility is the name of his game. Eric McCoy, center for Texas A&M. Juan Thornhill is a guy I really like, safety, athletic, productive guy. DK Metcalf was another one. We spoke about him earlier. Hakeem Butler, wide receiver, Iowa State, big guy. And Cody Ford, tackle guard from Oklahoma, is another that I'm surprised. Personal note, my mock draft that I submitted to the Huddle Report scoring contest there. This is the best mock draft I've had in 5 years. Pretty happy about that. Now, didn't win or anything. I don't even know that I finished in the top 20. But after the piss poor showings I've had in these last 5 years, I'm pretty happy with the my final effort there. So, pat on the back there, and no picks outside of my top 100. So still got that going for me, I guess. So that's going to do it for this first round wrap up of the cheat meal. We'll be back tomorrow night after the second and third round, and we won't go over every pick. but we'll just hit the high notes there. Talk about the goings on there and get the stage set for the grind of day 3. But not as many trades I think as we expected tonight, but there was some surprise picks. And again, big winners tonight, Washington Redskins. Big losers tonight, in my opinion, the New York Giants. Did not like what they did at all. So that's going to do it. Follow me on Twitter at Deep Fried Draft. And go to deepfrieddraft.com for everything. And hey, need a Disney vacation? Hit our sponsor up there over my shoulder. And email Bosarge at coastersandcastlestravel.com to have her help plan your Disney vacation. Until next time, everybody,